Great, I'm Joe Gananda, and I'm a part of the TI team and from Rock. I'm really excited by this whole space because it's kind of like the people that have been working on it kind of just stopped in the 70s or whatever when the Controlled Substances Act happened. And then some of the other technologies that kind of go to the same place, yoga, a lot of that kind of has halted too, where people got to a certain point and just said the guru says do this and like that's it. So, you know, show of hands, who here is familiar with hyperspace? Okay, so if you've been there, you know it's pretty profound and it's pretty incredible, and people that experience that tend to make a lot of claims, but there's not been a lot of ways to kind of figure out like what's really happening here and how do we quantify it and how do we reproduce it. So I've just been really interested in, it kind of started on a personal development thing that led me into looking at my diet and then looking at how I was taking care of my body and then how I was taking care of my mind and then what my mind even is. So trying to figure out what that is and trying to come up with a way that we can kind of understand it better and help people and share it and demystify it and not make it so woo and just be like these claims, you know, like, oh, I talked to the Great Spirit. You know, what does that mean? Well, we're trying to figure that out, and we think that this kind of needs to happen, and it's happening, and the second renaissance is here, so you're all part of it if you're here at this place right now. We're like at the forefront of this. So we've cooked up something that we think is pretty cool to kind of move the needle forward a little bit and kind of get ready, because this thing's coming, and you know, somebody's got to be at the leading edge kind of helping illuminate the path. So that's what I think we're doing, and I want to thank all of you for coming.
And what's your background?
My background. I'm a maker. I'm an entrepreneur. I've got 3 companies at the moment. One is a healthy food company, and I like to think about it. I started paying attention to what I put in my body, and then once we started really dialing into that, and I say we, Shannon and myself, then it was what you put on your body, and we started a personal care products company to. If you look at your shampoo, if you use conventional shampoo or toothpaste, it's, you know, good luck pronouncing the words that are in there. So we made a company called The Dirt Personal Care, and then once we kind of figured out what was going on our body, it was what was going into your mind, and we started a company called Jumbo Superfoods, and we make the world's healthiest edibles and infused products. So we started with cannabis, and we make a really high quality organic edible that's really useful for consciousness hacking. That was kind of the intent of it, to use it in an intentional way. But we also see a bigger vision of there's all these different plant medicines, and nature provided a buffet of options for people, and they're not really understood. I mean, even the stuff we're talking about now, research needs to be done. No one's looked at this stuff in a long time, and we see there's a big opportunity to have someone come in and say like, hey, this is how you do it, this is really good quality, and here's some stuff to do while you're doing it. Here's some meditations or ways you can kind of look into yourself and do some of the work that is really important. And that's kind of an interesting thing, because that state of non-duality is very, very similar, or is kind of what some of these medicines bring you to there too. And if you combine them, you can go deeper or faster. So there's a couple different technologies. You know, edibles and psychedelics is obviously one of them. Holotropic breathing, yoga, this medicine, they all kind of go to this place. And that's also what all the, now I'm really going, that's what all the ancient religions all did, was all try to point to the samadhi, nirvana, satori, you know, they all had this name for it, but it was this non-dual state. So we kind of have this buffet of different technologies with the internet that we can look at. You know, the religions, the medicines, the breathing, the float tanks, and kind of bring it all together. And that's kind of what this new renaissance will be about, is how do we bring these things together in a smart, formulaic, safe way. And that's what we're trying to do here today.
Okay, here we go. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you, Mikey, for the space. And it has been really beautiful just to have that touching base and hear some of your stories and the overlap and the similarities and some of the things we've said. There seems to be this really developing streams happening between the technology community, the psychedelic community, the meditation community. They're all facets of a larger macro organism or shape coming into focus. Welcome, sir. We're just starting.
Hey,
Forrest,
come on in.
So, my name is Rakazam. Let's see, I am an experiential journalist. I've been writing about psychedelics and entheogens and altered states and technology and consciousness for about a decade now. I was a freelance writer for Australian Penthouse for a while there. My first assignment was to go to Basel, Switzerland in 2006 and document Albert Hofmann's 100th birthday party symposium, which was actually this nodal point, critical mass of the psychedelic community coming together to honour this man, but also in that it felt like there was a Gestalt thing happening where the community was coming very public. The world media fully covered this 100-year-old man who discovered LSD, who was still alive and well. And it really was a turning point. For me personally, my second assignment was to go down to the Amazon and to look into the ayahuasca movement and the shamans there and to sort of understand the mythic archetype of what the shaman is. And also, why are Westerners so intrigued by this flood of tourism going down, spiritual tourists, that there's something there, you know. So my article ended up becoming a very deep rabbit hole that turned into a book called Aya Awakenings, and there is a film that has consumed the last 7 years of my life, and that's just the groundwork.
There's some stickers,
over there, and the film is screening tomorrow night at the meet-up in Oakland. And even in doing the film, so Juan mentioned when I met him in 2006, we did the medicine of 5-MeO-DMT with the EEG helmet, and I was in love. I was just like, this is the space. This is the most intriguing and honourable and integral work I felt I could be doing with my life. If you've been in these spaces, it's not just the intellect, it really is something about the mind-body dynamic and unifying the mind-body. I feel, you know, my skill base is encapsulating and minting fresh a linguistical understanding of translinguistical spaces, essentially. And I do that through having, basically, I navigate with my heart. That's what the shamans of the Amazon say. It's like when you're in that space, it's about not just your intellect, it's about your intuition, and it's about this, you know, this field of energy that you have and how you use that. So in the film, which one is in as well, we tried to document and anchor the 5-MeO-DMT experience, which we had footage of on the outside. But as we quickly discovered, we have footage of the flesh body and all the actions on the inside, right?
It's so good. It's still the best trick or point I've ever seen.
It's really good. Please come tomorrow night. So this has been my journey to find this thread and pull on this thread and to reveal this invisible landscape tapestry that is there. My background is now, as you said, with Mariana. I'm helping facilitate retreats in Peru, and I really love doing that work. I love nurturing people, being there for them, engaging with them on a personal level, getting to know them, and helping facilitate this little buzzword of awakening, which is sort of the new age term. That's what I enjoy doing. I'm also interested in anchoring these experiences. So with this Terra Incognita project, it's developed through my relationship with Juan, and wanting to go deeper and to realize that there are so many other nodes in this network, and that we are all, you know, there's a larger hyperdimensional something happening behind us. You know, everyone gets the same idea. And it's like, it's time for telephones. It's time for this. It's time for hyperspace to anchor in some type of way that previous cultures have had on this earth. The indigenous cultures that work with the portals and the catalysts of plant medicines are a really powerful technique. And as Joe mentioned, and some of the other people in our team, we're really interested in this nexus point of what we're calling neuro-shamanism, which is a blend of the neurotechnology and the neuroscience and the shamanism, but not in a woo-woo way. Like if you go to the culture of the Amazon or indigenous peoples around the world, this is a science. They call it science, a curanderismo. They have spent generations and hundreds of years to develop their science, and they have modalities and skill bases and knowledge to share with us. Without being woo-woo at all, so we're interested in anchoring these two modalities to potentiate these experiences, and not just to potentiate it and go there, but to harness the ability to go there, to teach that, to roll that out, to elevate. I get very big picture, and I might say some very big picture type things, you know, like activate the species or something like that, you know. So he will wheel me back if I get too out there. Terra Incognita has been designed to look at a few specific things, and I think it is a platform that we are building to harness everyone who has the skills and the intuition and the magnetism who wants to be part of it. Terra Incognita is that quote, I think, from Terence McKenna. It's that invisible landscape of the mind, you know, that is there that we have touched on. There are many different pathways into this central source, and we are embodying and rediscovering as many of them as we can. We've all got bits of the puzzle that we're a Gestalt consciousness which is coming together at this moment because there's something larger happening and so on. So we are interested both in looking at modalities like yoga and breath work and the endogenous abilities of our own consciousness and how to unlock these. After a decade of being a professional journalist and instigator within the psychedelic community, I'm actually coming around to this idea that we're coming full circle. We're coming full circle to where previous cultures, the Sanskrit, the Middle Eastern, all these cultures have used entheogens, but they've also had modalities like the yoga and like the different things. And in some of the tryptamine spaces, we have been finding, and I've been canvassing a lot of the underground psychedelic community, there's a lot of underreported, they're not anomalies, they're grooves that we get in of what the higher vibrational energy of tryptamine space specifically does to our bodies that seems to instigate mudras and asanas and mantras that sort of lock and load from perhaps some akashic frequency which exists independently and that previous cultures have tapped into. So, without getting woo-woo, we're really trying to work with our team, who is Mariana, Joe, myself, Dr. Wan, Niles, Shannon, and T. Ferry, as a core team. What we're interested in doing is working with people that have a deep skill base and a resonance with this field of inquiry already. So as opposed to doing like a double-blind study with, you know, random volunteers, our aim as a group is to have a core cell structure of the group to finesse and improve our ability and to train each other with the skill bases. We have the big picture, which is basically to help map hyperspace. That's essentially what we want to do. Now, the devil's in the details, and we have some plans of how that would happen. Obviously, we're coming from the technological community, and I believe that we now have the technology. We have the technology, and we have the vision. And when you marry the vision with the technology, it is pretty much all possible. Eventually, like we will get there because there's something bigger happening, I believe. So basically what we're planning to do with Terra Incognita is the research with the EEG or the MRI. We're open to different technological modalities. We are experienced journey people going in the tryptamine space specifically, but there's this idea that if you read other cultures' maps that already exist, like say the Tibetan Book of the Dead, or what Timothy Leary adapted from that as a psychedelic experience, they are mapping the bardo states. They have a certain language in their culture for it. We have a certain language for it. We've been evolving the West in psychedelic culture. But there are cultures who have left us maps. With the technology, I feel we can anchor these maps in a very, very tangible way. And our plan is to work with the quantitative electroencephalography or similar type of technologies to get clean data sets of journey people going in, to film that, and there's software around that can analyze physiological responses, heart rate, get all that medical data from footage. We're imagining a content management system as sort of an end result that has the EEG data in real time, so we're going to have to go through some data management sort of stuff. But to analyse what's happening in real time on an EEG level, what regions of the brain are firing, have the video physiological data there as well, and with the right people, because if you've been in these spaces you will know that it can be not just disassociated, it is, unity consciousness doesn't leave much room for the intellect and the ego, which is the blessing and the beauty of it. But with all these technologies we recognise that we can get data about what's happening to the brain, but it's still not giving us the subjective interior experience. We're not learning what are we feeling, what is happening, what are we seeing, are we engaging with some level of autonomous or perhaps projection of our own unconscious entities or anomalies. We're really wanting to do this in a really grounded scientific way. We want this to be replicable. We want this to create pathways that those who come after us can improve and follow. So going in, we've had our own experiences, but we're going to drop any assumptions. We want to have the timeline data. We have the trained people that have exhibited at the right levels of tryptamine space the ability to engage with the space and also to be lucid enough to communicate in real time. And that's important because we want to get a real-time map of what's happening. And if at 3:15 they say, I'm engaging with like these geometric entities that are doing something to me, and we see anomalous data on the EEG or physiological responses that can't be explained, we've got something. We've got a starting point. We've got a node that we can start to look at and deconstruct and data crunch. So those are sort of the management systems ideally, and we would want also to transcribe the real-time channeling experience and do some hashtag type of correspondence stuff, and perhaps output that data in some type of mind map or some type of, not just like in a Word document, a flat 2D thing, but a three-dimensional topography that we can actually start to play around with and aggregate the data nodes. So if someone says, for instance, Terence McKenna had this thing, you know, you went to the chrysanthemum, you know, and the unfolding blossoming. His language has been so important to lay down the mimetic architecture, but we also need to transcend it. We need to have our own language and to cross-reference and agree, you're speaking that language, I'm speaking that language, the Sanskrit people said it was Samadhi or whatever, you know? And it's like we can understand the feeling that we have been in whatever space we're in, we agree upon. So there's a bit of data consensuality between that. And if we can map that in a three-dimensional space, we're thinking we can aggregate data points, build up these references, and start to flesh out a physically, tangibly data model of hyperspace. I don't know if the technology exists. I think most of it is there. There is amazing momentum and sort of psychedelic glue behind the scenes of this. I've been in America for 5 days, and the meetings and the connections, and everyone has this energy that is either part of it or doing the same thing or paralleling. We are trying to create a platform. We want to be open source enough to embrace everyone's ability to add to this project. This is a generational endeavor. This is really, it's crowdsourcing hyperspace, essentially. Eventually, we create the pathways, we create the technology, we have the content management system, we improve upon it, and this is just the vision. And you know, the technologies will be stretched, the envelope will be stretched as we anchor this vision and we customize and we ad hoc and we make it happen. We're going to be inventing new ways and new, probably proprietary, patentable outcomes of this. And this is where maybe the shamanism comes in within neurotech. It's the technology of the sacred. It really is. It's like, it's not just this clinical white lab where you are going, sit there and let's inject you. And, you know, Strassman did these amazing tests 20 years ago now. In, you know, 95 he started doing this in the clinical setting with the intramuscular DMT, and harvested the data he had, and God bless him, much thanks. And we are conscious now as a community that is blossoming into this bridge that's been building between the indigenous communities with things like ayahuasca and the entheogens coming back. And we're conscious of the subtleties of our own energies and the presence we bring to that experiment, to the lab. How our own electromagnetic frequencies affect everything interdependently, interconnected, right? So in that space, we need to have technology that can encompass and work with us to be able to move. That's one of the things. And you know, we've got a business plan here, or an initial document which we can pass around. And the deeper we go, we realize we're really serious about this. We know we can do this. We can do this with your support. And it's not just us doing this. This is a platform we are building where we are doing it, and it is doing us. That's what's coming through. And if you see the movie tomorrow night, you'll know what that is if you haven't already. So, you know, we are embracing above board, legitimately, the wealth and the abundance and the goodwill that we can help engender here from the neurotech community, the existing transpersonal community, the psychological community, the psychedelic community. We have a core mission brief which involves tryptamine. We are aware of places in the world where we can do legal research, like in South America with ayahuasca. Dr. Juan has done you know, a lot of work with these modalities in these countries. I recently...
Yeah, so where we are right now is we've done some research, and we know we can do it. We've got the doctor, and we'll show some of the stuff, and you can see that there's definitely data coming through that can be measured, and we could start to kind of form this data set of these brain maps. So we've got to get that figured out. We have a Dr. Octavio Reti, who maybe you can tell us a little bit about it, but he's a shaman in Mexico who's got approval to have 5-MeO, and he's got a great supply of it. So we kind of have the guy with the medicine, and there's a research hospital facility down in Tijuana that is interested in partnering with us so we can do the research at this facility. They have access to an fMRI machine, and they want to be doing kind of like, they want to be the psychedelic research hospital. So they're like very excited about this project as well. And we've got this amazing team that everybody's on board and dedicated to the success, and everybody brings kind of the talents we need to make this thing happen. And we've got this larger community of you guys that are here and kind of participating. So we're ready to go to the next step, and we're going to kind of show you where we are now, but we want to, you know, we need help. We need the equipment so we can do this. So if you know people that have it, or you have access to it, or you know someone that can rent it to us or sell it to us, we need that, and we need funding. To really do this at the next level, it's to provide the research that we want to do that's legit and can help the world. We need some resources. So we think we've got a really good framework where we've got a place and a source of everything that's totally legit and legal. We can totally comply, and also, you know, start to get some momentum here to kind of take this thing to the next level, because it's coming. So we're really excited.
Oh, wait a minute.
What?
I was going to say
Oh, yeah. So we're doing it right now. We're doing it all the time, and we're excited and we're ready to go. So if you guys have connections or resources or access to any of the things we talked about, please help us. Come talk to me. Come talk to Rock. Look at our proposal, and we want to make this thing happen.
So I would really invite you all to join us, and we will join you into this beautiful platform we are helping co-create.
Let's say the next Buddha is not going to be a person, it's going to be a collective.
Yeah, totally. It's about the networks, no longer about hierarchies. It really is, I feel. So if anyone wants to add any more comments, there's also this document going around, pass that around if people want to have a browse, we can send that to you later as well. The idea for the rollout today is to give you some tangibility of what we're doing. That was sort of the pitch. Dr. Wan here is going to be doing a live experiment with the modalities that we work with. We'll probably have to close that door. And then after that, we can have a sort of Q&A session.
I brought some equipment if anyone wants to get hooked up and see their brain in lots of colors.
Awesome.
And image the brain in 3 dimensions in real time, and all the different frequency bands, and you just have to be willing to get some glue in your hair.
Yeah.
That was another part of it. I invited more of the mix. So Boris has a nice setup for actually doing imaging and spatial imaging inside the studio.
So Juan's got a PowerPoint which will give you some hard data on his work with tryptamines and EEG, and we should launch into that now. Thank you.